Hi guys, welcome to this week's episode of Retro Reviews. This was a camera that I was deliberating for some time. Is this now going to be classed as retro? I've kind of come to the conclusion, since it came out a good few years ago now, over 10 years ago, 2012, that I would class this as retro. So this is my 1Dx, a camera that if you're subscribed to the channel you've seen a lot of. This camera has done almost 600,000 shutters now. It looks very worse for wear at the moment. It's been through hell, really. So this is a camera that when I came back to photography, this is what I bought to come back to. So I used this solidly for a good 4 years without really any other cameras at all. This is my primary. I had a 1D Mark IV after 2 years as my secondary, but this was the only camera I had, and a 70-200 f2.8, which I still own. So let's show you now some of the photos I took today with this camera, and then I'll discuss all the pros and cons of this camera and if I would recommend it to you guys. So let's head into those photos right now. So the first image here we have is of a bird diving in here. It's one I like to try and capture because when you're using a higher shutter speed, you can just bring out the details with the water droplets and the bird itself as it's diving through. And as you can for sure see here, the droplets on the right hand side of its neck here are just super pin sharp. The image itself really pin sharp. You can see all the lines in the feathers and everything, as well as how sharp this image really is. And it's just such an amazing photo and quality from this camera that just when it came out was just mind-blowing, that you could have full frame with this speed, this shutter speed, and you get these sort of freeze motion photos like this. Next one here, because being a sports camera, you've got to get some stuff in motion, and so I was just showing that photo there of the duck diving, but I thought some geese in the air. This is something, so the 500mm, you've got some very small objects chasing across the sky. How quick does the autofocus pick up, and how reliable is that autofocus? And as you can see here, we're shooting at slightly higher f-stop just to make sure everything was in focus, but as you can see, all of them are perfectly in focus. I particularly like this photo just because of the detail and the colours more than anything else. Like the colours of the beaks and the feet are just really drawn out from this image, and I just think it's really impressive, and I generally really like this photo. And the final one here is of a couple of swans nesting. Couldn't quite get their necks in alignment to make a heart, but they are nesting there. They were courting a little bit, and this is just here just to again show the autofocus in work, shooting through sort of the brush there just to get the swans themselves in focus. But the detail, if you look on the swan on the right of the feathers, is just absolutely amazing. Really nice pin sharp. This is cropped in slightly, and you're still retaining all that lovely detail. So again, really usable photos you can get from this camera. So that's some of the imagery that I took today on this camera. I was using the 500mm f4 to take these on. So at the moment, my very much go-to wildlife lens. I know it works for everything. I've actually used it recently with the R3 to do some photos with as well, to retest the autofocus system on that when I was doing the R6 video. So good combination. As I said at the start, this camera is now almost at 600,000 shutters. I need to, at some point, I really want to get this to 1 million if possible, just to see if it can get there. It's already 200,000 shutters over the recommended by Canon, so I kind of want to see how far we can push it. It's just having the time to go out there and primarily use a camera that I don't usually use. So these videos do give me the opportunity to obviously get back into this camera and use it a bit more. But let's start with some negative points. One, it is a very heavy camera. It is just, if you're coming from like a 7D or a 6D especially, and you want to use a pro body, this is way heavier than those are going to be. It's more durable for sure. It's got the magnesium body, it's weather sealed, a really, really rugged camera, as you can tell by the state of mine is it's been thrown around. It is very well used and it still works absolutely like the day I bought it. Also, if you want an official battery for it, they do cost quite a lot. They're about £200 for an official battery for a Canon EOS 1Dx. You can get third-party ones from companies like Newer. They do some batteries that I've tested and personally had no issues with. Some people are really against the whole third-party battery sort of thing, but if you buy ones from like a sort of more reputable brand, like Duracell make batteries for this, which are like £90. So if you don't want to spend the Canon fee, you can get aftermarket, even branded ones, and be absolutely fine with those. No negative of this camera specifically, because it's so old now, the focus ring is really worn out. So on lenses it actually does have a bit of movement now, which hasn't caused any issues yet, but I can imagine in the near future will show up a disconnect issue unless I get it sorted out. But brings on to another negative, because the age of it now, not really any places will service this Canon wise. There are, again, third party people, private people who will service this camera for you, but you're going to have to go looking for them, and hopefully they can get the parts, the shutters, all that sort of thing. Sometimes it ends up being cheaper just to actually just buy another 1DX at that point, because they're not massively expensive anymore. When I bought this one, I paid £1,500 4 years ago. You can get it for like £600-700 now, which is just absolutely madness. Positives wise, again, say magnesium body, so it is completely bomb proof. I've thrown this around. I've actually seen literal sparks come off this when I've hit by accident the corner to something else metal, and I've actually seen it spark, and it's been no problems at all. Another great thing with it is because I shoot redundant, and it uses 2 compact flash cards exactly the same, so you don't have to go out and buy mixed mash cards, which also means you're shooting to the same speed card on both slots, so you don't use any sort of buffer speed there. The cards for this aren't massively expensive anymore for compact flash, so that makes it nice and useful too. The image quality, even though it's only 18 megapixels, the image quality you get from this camera is absolutely incredible. You can crop in if you need to. It's also got a very sharp, fast shutter speed. Being full frame as well. This was the second full frame camera I had. I had the 1DS Mark III, and then I sold all that kit. A few years later, came back and bought this, and having the full frame system on here with the speed is just such an incredible image quality. And if stuff hadn't come out like the 1DX Mark II and all the mirrorless stuff, then people could very happily still, even now I go to the zoo and people also are there with 1Ds. About 90% of them have a 1DX Mark I, just because of the value for money they are now. There's a few people who have the 1DX Mark II that I go out taking photos with, and the rest are now on mirrorless of various varieties, from the R10 all the way up to the R3. And the people who have this camera are still like, this is incredible, why would I need to replace it yet? If you're happy with DSLR and you have one of these, you don't really ever need to upgrade. I've obviously done videos on this compared to the 1DX Mark II and shown you why you would go to the next stage if you can afford it. But with how cheap these are, if you want to get a nice fast full frame wildlife camera and you don't mind it being a DSLR, get one of these and just have a play with it, enjoy it, and get some incredible shots with incredible image quality. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you think this is classed as retro, because if you don't think it is, when I do my next sort of block of videos on the retro stuff, I won't include it. If you do think it's retro, let me know and I will include it. Let me know if you've got a 1DX, let me know what your thoughts are. Do you still enjoy it? Do you think you need to upgrade, or are you happy with how it is? As I say, if there wasn't all these other options and I wasn't doing the YouTube stuff, I probably wouldn't have an R3 to start with. I'd probably have a 1DX Mark III by now instead, and just be running DSLR. I run mirrorless because it's good for the review side, and it's good to have an R3 for the review purposes, and to have it there to compare against certain things when other cameras come out. But there is nothing wrong with this. It feels great in the hand, shoots great photos. So let me know what your thoughts are. Leave a like and comment obviously down below, as you always guys do, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching as always, and goodbye.